Welcome to 12 Gauge Investigative.
In the shadows where the truth hides deep, echoes of the lost and the secrets they keep. Cold cases burn in the back of your mind. We dig through the dark, one clue at a time. This ain't fiction, this is blood, this is truth. 12 Gauge Investigative, justice uncaged. We ask the questions they're too scared to say, shining a light where the guilty pray. From killers to whispers, we won't look away.
Yeah, man. Happy Thursday, everybody. My name is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. You know, tonight I thought I'd get on here and I'd change the topic a little bit because I'm really, getting burnt out on talking about the same thing over and over and over. People know my stance on the Idaho 4 case and they know where I stand on certain things. So I thought I'd get on here and I'd talk about drug addiction because you know what, that is my forte. That's what I do for a living. And also, many people, they really don't know the reality of certain life on the street. And this video right here, I've already seen it once, twice maybe. Hopefully they'll let me show it. I mean, they shouldn't strike me because I'm not monetized, so hopefully that doesn't matter. It is called Inside a Crack House, the U.S. Drugs Gangs Exposed. And you know, the thing about a drug house that many people don't want you to really know is what goes on in one. In this one, you're going to actually see what kind of affiliation this house really had. It's not going to be that fictional stuff that people want you to believe goes on in a trap. It's actually going to show you exactly what goes on in the house. So, I'm going to just go ahead and play it, whether people are here, whether they're not, they can watch it on replay. But let's get to it, and I will commentate along the way. And here we go.
It's the streets, Chicago, man. It's a slave state, man. The United States is a slave state. How you think most of us got here, They don't give us no jobs. They send us to jail, put X's on our backs. Every day we do things that we don't want to do, but we have to do it to survive. You know what I mean? It's all set up for destruction, man. You know what I mean? That's it. It's all set up for destruction, man.
90% of our fathers went there for us. They probably was on dope or ran off with somebody else. School only took us.
I want to do a little history before I play a little bit more of this. I have been privileged to have been alive during the crack cocaine epidemic. Have I ever done crack cocaine? No, I have not. But one thing I do want to tell you is that epidemic was no joke. It actually took out a lot of people a lot of families, and it really overran a lot of things that most societies, it caused them to deteriorate. I mean, the crack epidemic just took out a lot of things. And if you live in an inner city, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. You understand exactly what I'm talking about. Um, I don't know if you've ever had any family members that have been affected by crack cocaine. If you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sorry about messing with this. I'm trying to get my position correct. So, this video is going to go into a trap house. You know, there's a lot of times when individuals talk about a certain case and they're talking about a drug house and they're talking about product and money and people constantly going in and out. Well, this is really going to show you the reality of what one looks like. Hey, everybody that's in chat, thank you for being here. Now let's continue on.
So far, and it was all on us after that. Either you had a wicked jump shot or you sling crack rock. That was our choices right there. Only positive thing you can do is try to take care of your kids. That's the only thing that'll make you a man out here.
You know, we live in an era where most of us die young, so we learned to really, really enjoy that little time that we got here with each other. But we never will know when we leave. One group has to be at the bottom, and we were just that chosen group. I mean, look at the neighborhood. This the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like an ant farm, ant hill. People going to work, coming home. People raising their kids, cutting their grass. You know what I'm saying? We're a society within societies here.
Not
It ain't fair at all. It ain't
It
fair
was
at all.
never fair. It was never fair to our ancestors, man. It was never fair.
I don't get it twisted. I don't sell no drugs. You know, I got a job, but you know what I'm saying? I make it look real easy. You know, talk about, you make it look real easy over here. You know what I'm saying?
For
Ain't
sure.
nothing, you know, ain't nothing to it. You know what I'm saying? But to do it. So let it be what it is. Let it be what it be.
I don't know what happened to my picture, but it interrupted. The screen went black, so I guess I'm going to go off camera, which is not a big deal. I didn't really feel like being on camera anyways. So, like I was saying, the crack epidemic really hit hard, and it never stopped. Even though we're in the fentanyl crisis, we're in the crisis where, you know, methamphetamine, they're mixing these drugs up or down, or you mix all these things in your body's gonna not know how to react to certain substances. So these individuals that live in this poverty-stricken world, many of us could not survive in. We really couldn't. And many people say, yeah, there's, you know, I could live there, I could do that. Well, you really don't know until you're forced to be in an environment like that. And I can tell you, I'd lived in the inner cities for a lot of years. I worked in the most beat down portions of the city, trying to help people that were detoxing off substances, and many of them were just street people, and they were coming into detox, and it was tough to watch. It was tough to watch because they didn't have anything but the individuals that were looking out for them. And you can OD and you can die so quickly on the street, it's not even funny.
The area is too bad out here. The area is too bad. It's too much shooting. They just killed 3 people over here on Cole last night. It's on the TV. Cole is right here. And there was some shooting last night that my granddaughter had to call the police. But they're shooting over here all the time. And most of the time, the police don't come over here. They catch you coming out your house or going in your house and stuff. It's just silly and ignorant to me. You know.
And that's another thing, you know, we take for granted that we call the police is going to come. But imagine living in an area where It is so dangerous for anybody to be in, much less the police going in there to help you. Many of these cities have defunded the police. Their police forces are not being funded. They're whittled down to nothing. So all these shootings and all these robbery and home invasions and all this other stuff, it is not a joke. Let's get on to the video. Here we go.
2 years? Did he say 42 years? Oh, I miss him so much. I haven't seen his face in over 5 years. A little bit about 5 years. I was like, well, basically, well, what did you do for 25 years? Because the only person people that get like that, if you think is murderers, or rapers or something like that, to get 25 years. And I was really kind of upset about that.
He was in a gang. He sold drugs. He did what he did. The courts and society has convicted my son. I'm not going to convict him every day.
First of all, before I begin this letter, Mama, I want to tell you that you are very special to me, and you know that I love you. Thank you for loving me when I didn't love myself. Really, words can express how much I love you, so I just want to say thank you.
Chicago is my home. That's all I know. That's my city. I was a graffiti artist back when I was younger. I spray painted trains and walls, and I stayed out all night. The streets kind of raised me. I was always in the streets since I was young.
I would always display.
And I did a class tonight about something like this with the youth that I oversee. The street culture is really appealing to the youth in 2025. It is hard to talk to youth about not joining gangs, not carrying guns, not involving themselves in selling drugs, or even using them. Because most teenagers don't use the heavy drugs. They use they smoke weed, they drink a little bit. But when it comes to the heavy drug users, then you can tell that there's something definitely wrong in that household when it causes an individual to go from the weed to the heavier stuff, the methamphetamine, the crack cocaine. This is a tragic story. It really is. But you know what? Many people say, I grew up in poverty. I didn't know anything else. So if you don't know anything else, that means you're not going to do anything else.
That I was a good child. But for hours when I was supposed to be in bed, I'll be watching and listening to the gangsters in the courtyard where we lived in the Jane Addams. I was fascinated by their lifestyle, and I wanted to be like that.
I got to a point in my life where I wanted to be a drug dealer. It was hard work, but I like how fast you reap the benefits. The money I made in Chicago was cool when I first started hustling, but as I got older, I realized it was just not fast enough. So I decided, like a few others I know, to take my show on the road. I went to several different towns in Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota, Kentucky, and ultimately landed my hat down in Rockford. While I was in Rockford, I ran across my Stone brother, Duck, and we decided to work together.
Well, at first, it was just business, but then it became pleasure.
Rockford was not our home. We were invading someone else's territory. We were foreigners in a foreign land. I never thought they'd go through so much to put us behind bars. I never thought they'd go through so much to get little old me.
I never was a good drug dealer, but for a long time, I was happy because I was one of them gangsters I fantasized being when I was little, seeing them in the courtyard. Truly in my heart, I do not regret going to Rockford.
You know, one thing that I continue to tell the youth as well is there's no such thing as a good criminal. There's not any such thing as somebody that doesn't eventually get caught. You might not get caught the first time around, the second time, the third time, but eventually you're going to be put on somebody's radar because this day and age, it's all about the snitching game. It's all about the wrong person gets arrested and they take down half the crew because there is no loyalty when it comes to the drug game. There is no loyalty, and most of the time, you don't realize many people know what you're doing, even if you believe that you're getting away with it.
Between about 2001 up through 2005, there was a growing presence of hardened Chicago gang members that were coming out to Rockford and taking over the drug business. Word began to spread about this guy named Duck and members of the Titanic Stones.
You kept hearing his name Duck, that he was from Chicago, that he was putting on a lot of dope here in Rockford. He's just a young guy, but he had a real reputation. People were afraid of him, just a little guy. The talk in the street, informant information was that this group run by Duck, Titanic Stones, were trying to take over the drug trade in Rockford, and they were moving real strong.
When they arrived here in Rockford, there was definitely a power struggle, Chicago versus Rockford. We'd have our robberies, our shootings. There have been murders here.
Every so often, somebody comes into power. It's just like anything else in life, you know, any business or any, you know, something always rises to the top. It was an epidemic. That's basically what it was. They were shooting a lot of people.
And that's another thing. That's why whenever we did talk about the Idaho 4 case, and I'm bringing that case up because it is the freshest case on people's minds, even though it's been drug out for a long time. We've always heard that 1122 was a drug house. 1122 was a trap. They were pushing drugs. They were pushing money. They were selling drugs out that place. I've always stated this, and I'll hold true to it. Who was their ops? Who was the opposition? Because usually you got one person running dope in a house. There's usually 3 or 4 other people within that little radius that are doing the same thing. And there's always going to be, like he said, a flex for being on top. So who were they beefing with? Who was shooting up the 1122 house? Who was doing drive-bys? Who was doing all this stuff? We didn't hear about any of that, did we? So we know that it wasn't a trap house. But people still hold on to that mentality that drugs were being pushed in that house, that there was money laundering going through that house, that there were guns and all kinds of maliciousness going through that house. But I'm about to show you what a real trap looks like.
Random gunfire was taking place, a lot of it directed to housing developments in the city. We were having multiple shots fired during these shootings. There was one particular incident that took place on Underwood Street on a Saturday afternoon. There was a running gun battle in the middle of the street. There were 60 rounds exchanged. There were 60 casings in the street. And it was a miracle that nobody was killed. I mean, there were children out playing, the rounds were flying, and everything went back to Duck.
Now we're coming up on Central. We're still on the west side of town here in Rockford. We're going to go by the Auburn Street McDonald's where Julio Allen, a member of an opposite gang here in Rockford, was confronted by Duck Davis and Bradford Dotson.
Bradford Dotson, who had the nickname of Hustler, played the role of enforcer. Duck's orders at the McDonald's restaurant at Auburn and Central, tried to carry out a hit in retaliation for a home invasion at one of the gang's drug houses. They found out Julio Allen was there. Davis gave the order, and Bradford Dotson fired several rounds through a plate glass window.
When you got someone firing rounds inside of McDonald's like that, that's unacceptable. That's when I said I want this Duck. This guy has got to go down.
You know, we weren't hearing of shootouts throughout Moscow. We weren't hearing of people being shot up. We weren't hearing about people being shot up in Pullman. We weren't hearing about any of this stuff. And you don't think that there would have been murders, drive-bys, emergency room visits, all kinds of stuff, had these kids really been all about that life. Get real. Most of them kids in that town have no clue about what this life is about. Most people don't. They see it on the TV and they think that they're experts. Try working in it. Try working with these individuals who are trying to get off this drug, trying to get off the lifestyle, trying to get off the money trail, you know, because you say the drug gets you, but most of these people are addicted to the lifestyle. They're addicted to the money, the fast money, the fast life, the fast cars. And they'll tell you, getting out of the lifestyle is the hardest thing they've ever done.
We initiated a federal case. Did an awful lot of surveillance, following people, watching people, talking to informants. We started to see the pattern, the way they were selling narcotics was the same. He was using different locations in the city, renting houses. Normally he would have a lady rent the house in her name. Nobody would live there. They would just use it strictly to sell drugs.
Now, do any of these houses look like when the kids were alive? Maybe when they died, they boarded them up. You could have said at that point, yeah, it was a trap house. But you know what? While them kids were alive and things were going normal, it didn't look like no trap house. This is a trap house right here. What you saw, they would rent houses throughout the city and sell dope out of them, run money through there, have people shooting up and doing drugs in the house. This is the real deal right here.
The end game for us here was to take out the organization as a whole. The Rockford Police Department had executed search warrants at many of these drug houses and only gotten small quantities of crack cocaine or heroin, almost always heroin. And he was never there. He wasn't the one selling it. We were lucky enough to have a confidential informant who was providing us with a wealth of information and told us that she had been approached and asked if she would be interested in renting a house on behalf of Duck and the Titanic Stones.
I was selling crack. I was selling dime bags, 20s, 8 balls. I mean, I was good at it. I'm not going to sit there and say I was good at it. I just slipped up one time because I was drunk. I was messed up and forgot to take it out and went to jail, and they found it in the jailhouse. Some people say they ain't scared of going to prison. That's a lie. Everybody's scared to go to prison because I was scared to go to prison.
Right.
I had to make a decision and had to make it quick. And anybody in my shoes, anything, would probably would have did the same thing if you really cared about your kids. You know, everybody call me snitches. Okay, I'll be a snitch.
And that's what the lifestyle's about. That's what the game is about. It's about making that money, making it fast, living fast, and unfortunately dying fast. You know, one thing about the Idaho 4K that I thought at the very beginning when people were talking about it being a drug hit, you know, the cartels or something like that, for the mothers being involved in that lifestyle, you know, being drug users and things like that. That's not how things go down. That's how they go down in the movies. This is the reality. There's people that are being used emotionally, physically, all for the end game. What is the end game? And the end game is money, power, and control. The same thing that gets people killed. The same thing. So if you're living in that lifestyle, think about what she's saying right now.
Kids is more important than any of y'all, anybody. My kids and my family come before anything. Duck looks like the coolest person. I'm talking about like the coolest person. You look into it, you be like, oh, he's a low connect, but he's the scariest person. If you get to know him and you see how he really is, he's the dangerous man in period I ever seen in my life because he's very dangerous. I'm talking about he had more power than Scarface. That's how I'm telling you. That man was big, big. They would have killed me if they found out I want them down, how I went down. They would have killed me. I'd be dead. I mean, it's a chance I had to take.
Summer's coming on now.
Yeah. Gonna get hot, gonna get busy.
You have any time off? Because I got to bale all that hay.
We still gotta protect the street too.
I grew up in a small town here, real small town. Not even in the small town, outside the small town. Grew up on a farm, raised beef cattle. When I was growing up, I actually wanted to stay on the farm and raise cattle. And Dad told me that the market was going bad with cattle and there wasn't any money in it, so I had to get a job in town. This is where I ended up.
He does have a pretty gait.
Yeah.
Beginning of the case, I was working in the narcotics unit, and my brother was in the gang unit. And we were both working both angles of it. And Barry came to me one day and said, hey, man, I got an idea. Do you think this will work? He told me that he had an informant, and the informant had been approached and asked to rent a house, and then the house would be used for a drug house. And they wanted to wire the house up with video and audio. And I said, yeah, I think we can make that happen.
This is where the house was. The house was donated to us. It was scheduled for demolition. It's the spot right there. And it was pretty much disgusting when we got it, but they were kind enough to just let us do whatever we wanted to do. We parked in this driveway and carried lots and lots of carpeting and junk inside.
Well, we chose a location because at the time, the targets that we're looking at were looking for an east side spot. This is our near east side of town in Rockford. They were looking for a spot that had alleys, that was pretty much hidden from the general traffic.
And that's another thing that people don't understand as well, is when you're going to buy drugs or not alcohol, but when you're going to buy drugs at a trap, you got to have a way in and a way out that's quick. You can't be trapped up in a little cul-de-sac because the cops come to bust you. You ain't got nowhere to go. So you look at the 1122 house. There was nowhere to go. You pulled in, you were stuck. You were stuck in any of those little roads, unless you were on foot. Then you could have got away. But most people are not that stupid. They're not going to operate a house that is going to put their customers in potential danger because they're not going to come back. It's like a business. It's a business mentality where you're selling drugs, supply and demand. And if you're putting your customers at risk, they're going to go to another house that's not at risk.
Could be accessible to somebody that want to get in and get out.
It was boarded up. Every window, every door was boarded up. Inside, the carpet was rotten. The flooring was a mess. All the utilities were not functioning. We would come over in our undercover vehicles. We would paint carpet, do electrical work, plumbing, just totally redo the house. But we added things to it, video and audio.
Talking to our technical people, ATF's technical people, we determined in order to do what we wanted to do, we would have to hardwire the house to a listening post. And by hardwire, I mean we needed a cable run directly from that house to wherever we set up a command post / listening post. Fortunately, one day we were in a room talking, and a sergeant from the community relations happened to be in there, and he heard the problem and said, "I've got just a spot for you." Went out, looked at it, it was perfect.
The factory or command center that we used was an old model paint factory. From the third or fourth floor, wherever we were, we had a bird's eye view of the house looking north. And the command center was set up so that there was a monitoring room where you'd have 3 agents at 3 separate monitoring stations and then a supervisor in the room. And each of those stations monitored a particular room in the house at 1023 Kishwaukee. One for the kitchen, one for the dining room, one for the living room. Nobody could guarantee that after all that hard work that the Titanic Stones wouldn't just say we're not interested anymore, or that they would think something was up. So there were some tense days leading up to August 9th.
But when I took Duck to show him that house today, he loved it. He loved it. I'm talking, he fell in love with it. He said, "Man, call that motherfucking landlord right now and tell him you want it." He said, "It's low key, it's off of the back in the alley. It's interest for the smokers to come in from the alley and nobody gonna see him. It's 2 ways to come in from the back way." He wanted it. We didn't even use the front door. He wanted it. He was like, "Tell him, yeah." So I called. I was like, "Duck wants it." He said he wants it. I said he likes it. I said he loves it.
So think about this. They're in an old factory across the way, monitoring this drug house, this trap house. This is the entrance point right here. This little stairway area. This is where people would come in, do their deals. Hell, they might even test the product in one of the rooms, pass out, do whatever the hell they were going to do, and then leave. Look at this house. This house does not look like any house that I've seen on a college campus. And if it does, I can almost guarantee you there's not drugs being pushed out of that home. Look at this house. You tell me that looks like one of the houses you've seen that's supposedly a drug house? Oh, it's a drug house. It's a drug house. They're doing drugs. They're pushing drugs. They're pushing money. Come on, man. This is the real deal right here. And just because it's in Rockford, Illinois, that's not a big city. They told you it's not a big city. So this could be going on in any city in America. And most people do not realize the true nature of the game. This is the game right here. This is the real deal. This is not a made-up fictional story. This really happened. And this is what's happening right now as I'm speaking about it all over the U.S. Incognito is the key. So you're telling me at 11:22, the cops were showing up for noise complaints, but yet you're comfortable enough talking to the cops outside while you're stashing drugs and selling them out the back? Get off the gas, man. Get off the gas.
Finally, on August 9th, it worked out. And within a very short period of time, a couple of hours, the keys were turned over. And within an almost identical short period of time, they're moving in.
Bro, you gotta get out, man. Like this shit. Ooh, shit. Damn, bitches thought they was getting buzzed out around this motherfucker. What? Oh, my mama, they gonna be getting buzzed out in every... Alright, come on, man. Tear our shit up, man. Alright, you got it right. Look. Alright. My dirty ass drank that brown water.
motherfucking rock the building inspector. Come on, come on, come on, come on. What's up, G-Ball? Huh? You in, bro? Yeah. Oh, wait. Gotta turn, swing, bro. Yeah. Now swing, get back up.
You see furniture coming in, and Duck and Little Steve.
So you can see they're setting up shop. They're setting up shop for that money. For that money. You know? Does this look like college kids moving in? Could be. Could be. At any city in America. But you know what? There's a difference between what they're moving in and what other people are moving in. You don't see no blonde-haired girls moving furniture in. You don't see no college guys moving furniture in. These guys could be in college. But you ain't gonna think that they're moving into a off-campus home for sure. And you're right, Nina. You're right. Everything you're saying in chat right now is true.
And Bradford Dotson and Ambrose Jones. They're carrying couches in. They're carrying chairs in. And they're setting up shop. That night, they're selling dope.
What's up, man? Y'all all together? Yeah. What's up, watch? 40. What? 40. You know y'all got money. Y'all got to do one. Yeah. That's what he said. That's no problem.
You notice that living room? There are not beer boxes all around. There's not beer bottles everywhere. There's not empty beer cans everywhere. There's not beer pong set up. There's none of that. They're just in there playing games, selling dope, making that money. Because that's what this house is about. About making money, and that's the objective to the game.
Y'all off the ladder. Thank you. Help. You too.
Putting video and audio in a living and breathing drug house and turning the keys over to the gang when you wanted to turn them over, that had never been done before. It is really an underclass and subculture that most people really never see. I remember a phone call that I received from Barry Cunningham when I wasn't in the monitoring room. And Barry's words were, "We're in the hornet's nest here."
Dude jump out the car again twice. I'm squeezing at his ass. He get low. I jump out. Right here. You was squeezing at his ass. Boom, 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 boom. He put that little shit up, got to run it, they pulled it off left. I ain't seen no shit like that. Man, come on. That's 10 millimeters. Ain't no 10 millimeters.
They're there to protect their product. They're there to protect that money. They're there with semi-automatic weapons, shooting up anybody and anything that comes to take their money from them, to take their product from them. How many weapons did they pull out of 1122? How many guns did they seize from 1122 that we have on their search warrants? Not a one. Not a one. How many guns did you see in those photographs? Not one. But that was a trap. Get real.
Man, what he said? Rocky, what is he? Them Rockies in there. Oh, we should talk like a motherfucker.
And I've been working narcotics for many, many years and spent countless hours on surveillance, whether or not it's in the back of a van or a squad car, sitting back with binoculars watching drug houses or watching people deliver drugs or purchase drugs. So you always had a good concept of what it was like from the outside, but you never knew what it was really like on the inside. Well, this gave us the opportunity to take an inside seat in that drug house and determine exactly what was taking place.
Keep me alive. Hey, come on. They ain't wanting to hear this. Man. Ooh, you a fucking duty, man. Just because you ain't see it, it could have been stuck in the chain. Cock it back, Moon. You could have popped it. I decocked it, man. I was going to shoot you right back. You would have shot me right in the balls. This a decock, man. This boy slick. It's just beat up. That guy got a body on it. This motherfucker. You know I have. This guy got a body on it? Hell yeah. This guy got a body on it? I'm seeing you out here with that gun. It's hot. Man, this gun is hot. Gee, yes, man.
And that's what goes on in these small towns. You got people usually living at places. If you're going to get real, this is a fancy trap house. It really is. Most of them don't have no electricity. They don't have no running water. They don't have nothing but the ability to sell dope out the house. If they got electricity, it's being stolen from the house next door. Somehow. They got it set up, rigged up, where they're stealing electricity somewhere. They ain't paying for it. So, you know darn well that if that was happening in small town America everywhere tonight, which it is, there's a lot of laws being broken. And there's a lot of people being watched, I'm sure. But this is the reality of lifestyle.
I was here from about 5 o'clock in the morning every morning until midnight, 2 o'clock every night. It was just miserable, hot every day. Everybody was miserable. Everybody was complaining at me because I was the guy supposed to be handling the gear and I just couldn't keep it cool enough. It was a learning experience, I think, for everybody there. This is the first time you actually saw what happened in a drug house. They were just living like regular people live, watching TV, playing video games, visiting with their friends. Just that normal life was interrupted by selling drugs and playing with guns and counting money.
I was doing that, man. I was, look at it.
If there's not criminal activity going on, then the court order provides that you have to turn off the recording devices. Most often, everything that was going on in that house was criminal in nature because there was almost always drugs around or a gun in the room. Almost everybody was a convicted felon, so everything was criminal in nature.
Go to the window. You call me. Then I snort so loud that nigga will no longer can. Alright. Joey, man. Alright, Joey.
I mean, it was a pretty simple operation. Whoever was in the house at that time, people would come to the door. They knew the majority of the people coming to the door because of the fact that they were dealing with them on a regular basis. I mean, they would lay around all day long on the couch just waiting for someone to knock on the door so they could sell dope to them.
Where's OG? Who, me? Yeah, where's OG? It's the window, huh? It's the window. How do we get the window? What's wrong with the window? What's wrong?
I mean, think about that. They're not even going to the door anymore. They're going to the window, doing like a drive-through service. I mean, Nina said it. That's a legit drug house. I guess a step above a trap house. Yeah, the trap houses that I've been prevalent to have no running water, no electricity. There's people in and out of them with mattresses thrown on the floor. There's trash everywhere. Yeah, it's nasty. I mean, you're in there for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to get drugs, use drugs, and have sex. You know? It's not 11:22.
Here you go. What's up? Get the fuck up.
So you want real? This is real. You see that? You think that was going on 11:22? This is real stuff right here. When you get tired of listening to those dead horse channels talking about all that make believe Hollywood shit, and you get used to the reality of what life really is that people talk about, it's not pretty at all. And it is a layer that you must pull back, and you must really be. If you're talking about the life, you got to understand what it is that you're talking about. You might think that you're running your mouth on this internet about something that is not or could not come back to harm you. You're talking about people's lifestyles. You're messing with people's money. You're messing with people's ability to do what they need to do. So the wrong person gets the wrong message from you, and then all of a sudden they start being watched. Let's say they're really into the dope game, and you're running your mouth on these live 24/7 talking about this person, that person, this person. You're messing with their life. And when you start messing with people's money, people start getting clipped.
Take that shirt off. Change clothes, bitch. Get the fuck up before I push your face through this wall. You ain't gonna tell me shit. Talking that shit, get the fuck up. And I'm not gonna tell you again. That refrigerator on your head, bitch. Get up.
This group was associated with so much violence. Once those microphones were turned on and those cameras were turned on, while there was some relief that it was working, the tension didn't necessarily subside, because it became very obvious to us that this gang was for real, and the reputation that preceded them was one that was appropriate.
The last thing in the world we wanted to do would bring violence to a neighborhood. I mean, we set this house up. So, God forbid we brought violence into the neighborhood and somebody got hurt. We were always concerned about that was something that we had to keep in mind, and we couldn't let it get out of control.
Now it's about to get real in the field. Oh shit. Raining fully autos out and let us just tear this motherfucker up. Start tearing the motherfucking projects up. It's gonna get ugly. For real. Put your helmet on.
Hey Nina, maybe 11:22 was a high class drug house, Maybe they had them pistols strapped under the stairs, and they could pull them out at any time. Yeah. That make believe shit just over these 2.5 years, almost 3 years, people still talking the same stuff. Talking about that man ran up in there with a gun. ran up in there with the gun. So if that's a trap house, and this individual who one of the roommates heard a bang and a flash, you're telling me if you're running dope and you have people protecting that house, there ain't gonna be people in there strapped. That fool would have never made it out of that house if that was legit. He would have been dead on that damn floor quick. You can't tell me otherwise. So to see a flash and a bang, and you say, oh, there was a gun in that house going off. Oh, there would have been a lot of guns going off. It would have been like a 4th of July party in that house. But since there was no guns going off, oh yeah, it was silencers. That's what did it, to silencers, right? Oh, come on, man. Keep living in your little fairy tale world. This is reality. This is the real life. This is the real stuff that keyboard gangsters don't want to talk about.
Put your 3D glasses on, pussy, because you know we coming straight at you.
Every evening, the shit would hit the fan. I really can't think of a better way of saying it. The shit would just hit the fan. Several times, they just jump up and say, let's go shoot so-and-so. And you'd just be like, okay, now we got to stop this. And usually they'd end up talking about it for 5 minutes, smoking dope, playing video games and forget about it. So you didn't have to do anything. It took care of itself. But nevertheless, it was every night. Every night. So we got to be just kind of a laugh. We'd all wait around there from come the 7 o'clock catastrophe every night.
That's the police, man. That's that fat mark that was walking around the gun. I don't know. Yeah, I'm figured out out here. It's over. Where? Right there, buddy. Where the police at? Right there. Where? What the fuck is he doing? That's the police, man. That's a fucking crib. You fucking with cats, Mo. Man, it could be a sit-off, man. Well, we need to put the bank in the car, G. Damn, man. Watch the windows, G. Come on, man. Grab the shield and take out the wall. Right. But you gotta grab the shield since they're taking a bank and leaving a bag of shields. Hey, I'm going to the Batmobile. Bro! To the back. Oh, there, right there. Man. I'm sure. You sure? Hell, man. You was gonna swallow all this.
I was gonna choke to
It's
die.
silly.
I was gonna be on the floor straight
Let's see that go, kid.
See, it's like the Walmart on the block. One stop shop. You know, it's funny to me. It really is. It's funny and it's sad at the same time. Where we have individuals on these YouTube streets that try to portray hardcore. They know what the life is about just because they know people in that life. That doesn't make you legit, bro. That doesn't mean that you got street cred. That's like me saying I know criminals because I work with them. No, I've ran with criminals. I've been in these places. I was just smart enough to get out. You know what I mean? And like Nina says, cartel doesn't kill over Adderall. These fools don't give a damn about your life. They don't give a damn about who you are, what you're affiliated with. All they care about is their money and their product. And they're going to do anything and everything to protect that. And they're not leaving this house. As you can see, they are in there 24/7. That's their job. They sleep there. They play their video games there. They eat there. They don't leave. They don't leave. So we've heard that 11:22 people were leaving, coming and going at all hours. So if it was a trap house, a dope house, where the guns at? Where the shootouts, like what we saw? What we saw at the very beginning of the video, them windows shot out. Where the card with the bullet holes in them? Where's all this stuff at? If it's legit, where's it at? Show me. You can't, because you're making up shit and you're playing a deadly game. You think it's all about clicks and views. You're playing a deadly game. You're playing with people's lives. Just because you're on these YouTube, on this camera, doesn't mean that you can't be touched. And the wrong person gets exposed over your bullshit. People don't care no more in 2025. They don't care.
We said the best dope in rock. They got you all on take out of both. You got the best dope in this here. Y'all play it back like we got the best dope in Rockford, by the way. Yeah. As we gonna be here, we got the best dope in rock. We gonna be playing that shit. Oh, repeat that little thing. We got the best dope in rock. We got the best dope in rock.
I didn't find out that he started selling drugs until I was 16 or 17. I walked in a room and he was cutting it up. So, I was just like, I didn't say nothing. He just told me to get out the room. Not until the feds was looking for him, we really sat down and had a talk. And I was like, Montreal, you need to change your life. I said, there are so many things you can.
And let me state the obvious here, okay? Because this is how you know that most people don't know what the hell they're talking about. Most Caucasians do not run trap houses. I'm going to just throw that out there, okay? Most Caucasians, if they're into the dope game, they're cooking it. They're delivering it within their race. They're not messing around with other races. African Americans, as you can see, it's all about the greenback. So that's never been brought into the equation. You talking about a drug house, a trap house at 1122, a house full of Caucasians? What were they cooking? They cooking mac and cheese in the kitchen, selling that shit out the back in little baggies? Is that what it is? That's some funny shit to me. It really is. I just thought of that. All the time that I've been talking about this, it just hit me. Caucasians usually cook it. They have their own little pipeline that they sell from. They're not going to stay stationary in a trap house. Not saying they don't exist. They just don't call them traps. They call them something else. You know what I mean? God. God. I cracked myself up.
I'm like, you can do things that your other friends can't do. I just found out recently, some of them can't even read. You know, he could read. He knows how to play the saxophone. And trust me, I used to try to whatever instrument he used to play, I used to try to learn how to do saxophone. It is hard. All those notes and all that, it is so hard. But his ass mastered the saxophone and can play that goddamn saxophone. I asked him, well,
Nina, am I wrong about that statement I just made about Caucasians and African Americans and Hispanics? Hispanics and African Americans are the closest that you'll probably get to sharing the trap house experience. As far as the Caucasians, you don't get that kind of experience. Like I said, if it's a trap, it's a broken down trailer home somewhere in the middle of nowhere selling dope to the rural area of America. It's not in the middle of a college town selling dope out of a house.
I said, why? And he said, well, I walked in a room and I ain't never seen that much money in my life all at once. I never seen, and I wanted that. That's what he said. I wanted that.
I see my great grandma. Yeah. And my grandma don't want nobody to spank it or do nothing to it. Ow. Okay. This is our little family. Montreal, we love him too, even though he's in jail.
I miss him.
Yeah, I do too. Let me tell you something that I told Montreal and everybody else in jail. They did not send for you. This was your choice. They did not send for you. You don't have to do what you see little Johnny do, a little Calvin do. You don't have to do this. I know plenty of people that I knew that was doing things wrong, even since I've been grown. Did I get out there and do it? No, because I know better. Everybody has a choice. That's including Montreal and everybody else. You and everybody else. We have a choice.
Damn, Big Mama spitting facts for reals. You ain't got to be out there selling dope. You ain't got to be out there selling your body, selling all this stuff for money, quick cash, thinking that's the only way out. Big Mama spitting facts for reals.
You don't have to do what the next person do. I'm like me. I am my own model. And a lot of people talking about these basketball players and these movie stars, they try to portray these people as role models. They are not no role model. I am the role model in my house. That's what you should do. Stand up, mother and father, and be the role model in your house. All we have to do is just pray and think positive, and everything will be okay.
Okay, Miss Siobhan. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the first time a child in our family been on the pacifier.
I know.
So hopefully we'll be back.
I'm cracking up over here. A trap house in Moscow, Idaho, in the middle of the campus, pretty much. Is that not the dumbest shit you've ever heard? Is that not the dumbest shit you've ever heard? And I've said that before. This ain't the first time I've said it. I'm not reacting to anybody's stuff that was said today because I didn't really watch anybody. But I can tell you that I've heard the gun theory going around over the last couple of days about there being guns in the house or a gun being used and this and that. There was a flash, a bang. It had to be a gun. It could have been a silencer. Whatever the hell it was. Like I said, let there be a gun come into a trap house. Ain't nobody leaving alive. Ain't nobody getting stabbed either. They're getting blasted on. They're getting blasted on. Get off the gas, man. Get off the gas.
Home soon. This area is too bad out here.
And no more than this train. You gotta get up out of this train.
You do that, Nina. I'm curious to see. You know what I mean? I'm curious to see if there is anything that resembles a trap house, especially in that neighborhood. I'm kind of envious. I want to go too.
If you came to my house when I was growing up, oh, you knew it was a holiday. We be eating like mad, 24 hours, all day, all evening, all night. You could smell the nuts, the cakes, the pies. We had a big pot of chitlin. Then you had a big pan of macaroni and cheese. And then you had a big bowl of potato salad. Then you had a shrimp salad. And you had fried peach pies. You have the sweet potato pies, custard pies, and great big pot of greens, great big pot of string beans, salt pork going all through these baked beans and strips of bacon on the top. You ever had grits and chicken? Well, see, that's what my grandmother would do sometimes just for breakfast. We always had food. My house is my life, the memories and the things that...
And here's another little fact, okay? If there's drugs being done in a trap house, all right? You don't think that the neighbors would have smelled you using the drugs? You don't think you smoking meth, you smoking heroin, you shooting it, you don't think there would have been needles everywhere, you don't think there would have been little baggies all over the place, you don't think that would have been prevalent? Yeah. I bet there's not one. I'm betting there's not one. I'll bet $20 on that. And I'll donate that to Nina's Kennels. If there is a trap house in Moscow and I lose, I will donate that to Nina's Kennels for sure. Hey, Chris, thanks for being here. PKC, thank you for being up. And you're right, the druggies look like shit. They sure as hell don't look like functioning college kids.
I used to do there, and the cooking, and it's nothing like having something of your own when you don't have to worry about nobody running over your head, and you keep your house clean in your backyard, and you can always go out there to cook and enjoy yourself. We were all, might as well say, raised up in that house. The house was my grandparents' house. He was born there. Letitia and Montreal was born there. Even though it is in the shamble, I feel like I'm at home. And I always go over there to clean up and sweep up. I can't wait to get back over there. When I go over there, I hate to come back this way.
You know, I like Big Mama. I've met a lot of women like her. She gives you that comfort. Even though I don't know this lady, she has this comfort about her. I bet she would cook you up a meal if you were hungry. I bet she would give you life advice. She would do a lot of good things. I bet if she's still alive, this woman is a wonderful woman. It's sad that so many people turn away from people like this in their families and run toward the street. You know, a lot of times they don't have to live in those streets. They don't have to deal drugs. They don't have to do that. Like this lady said, you make a choice in your life on what direction you want to take.
Hyde Park offers so much that the other areas to me don't offer.
Around here in Hyde Park, it's always been nice. You rarely hear about crime happening over here, if ever. But everybody wants to live in Hyde Park because it's quiet, it's considered safe, but it's really expensive to live in here. But this is where Daryl, he really grew up in Hyde Park, because I used to live on 47th and on Lake Park. And we'll go down there as well. And that's where it all started. The ditching school, the hanging out with the wrong crowd. That's where it started. Daryl had a chance. He didn't have to make the choices he made. He had role models. Here's Hyde Park Academy. That's where he went to high school. It would have been a totally different ballgame had I had my act together. I fell prey to the streets. And obviously, he did too.
And you know, for a lot of these kids, if they were raised in abusive homes or drug addicted homes, they're trying to break the generational curse. They're trying to stop the cycle. They're not trying to repeat the cycle. So we know about those two girls that their families struggled with addiction. You don't think that they were trying to break that generational curse? You don't think that they were wanting to be the one that got out of that lifestyle to do better for their lives and not follow down their parents' path? You don't think that they wanted a way out? You don't think that they were bonding together and giving each other strength and hope to get out of that lifestyle knowing exactly where they grew up? So yeah, we grew up in a fucked up ass environment, and then the next thing we want to do is come to college and get a way out, but we're going to mess it up by slanging drugs, running money, running drugs, and running people through this house and fucking up other people's lives. That's what we're going to do. How about that? Get off the crack, man. Get off the coffee you drinking, whatever it is that you got your mind all messed up. Get off the gas. All these people living in fairy tale world telling the story about these girls that doesn't even exist. You know? They were breaking that generational curse. And they lost their lives in the process, in the prime of their lives, when they were about to start and get to the end result of their hard work. And some fucked up dude with a mental capacity of a brick came in the middle of the night and murdered them. It doesn't matter why he picked that house. It doesn't matter who the girls were or Ethan was. They were all trying to get a better life, doing what most people do in normal living. Get up and face life head on instead of making excuses for yourself. And some fucking coward came in the middle of the night and took it all away. So you want to be on his bandwagon? You want to suck his ass every chance you get and claim his innocence? So be it. Doesn't mean the rest of us have to suck his ass also. He's a piece of shit, is what he is. And he deserves to be where he's at for the rest of his life.
What's that, B.O.? You were in jail, right? Yeah. Yeah, what's up, bro? I wasn't in jail. I know you weren't. You want some hard, don't you? Yeah, boy. How many you want? Well, I want one. Give me one squares, son. I had no candy bar. You bust them down? What's that? No. Well, make them bust down. Yeah, you got your mixer with you? Yeah, bro. Yeah. Do that shit, right? Yeah, right. No problem, man. It's no good. See that? Clean. I see. I don't blame you, bro. Get that what you got.
All right, guys.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So you know where the spot at now? Yeah, man. Yeah. Bring a friend or something. Man. All right, bro. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It was interesting and I guess disturbing at the same time what the customer base was. And there were people from all walks of life. People who looked like they just gotten off work at 5:30 and stopped at the drug house to get their heroin fix. People who clearly were well on their way to becoming heroin addicts. Young people, teenagers, people from all walks of life.
You'd see the soccer moms showing up in the minivan getting dope. You'd see, the hardcore drug addicts. You'd see black, white, male, female, young, old, anything. It was just all over the place.
Nina, that's one thing I'm sure they saw at 1122 with a soccer mom in a minivan, right? Pulling in the driveway, looking for a score. Man, I'll give you a cheeseburger, man. I got a cheeseburger, man.
many times your victims are not the best citizens themselves, but they're still a victim. How'd they get to this point? They're taking their life in their hands to go to a neighborhood they know nothing about, to walk into a house they know nothing about. There's guys in here with guns, to purchase a little bag of powder. What went so wrong in their lives to put them to that point? And this is a small part of a huge picture. How big is this drug problem throughout the world? It's beyond explanation. It's huge.
And I'm going to stop it right there. We will pick up tomorrow night. But I want to tell you guys and gals, and those of you that are really into reality-based thoughts and understanding, that is the real deal right there. And you say, well, that's a certain ethnicity that's running it. If you're naive-brained mentality believe that Caucasians run trap houses, then you're as delusional as they come. Because they don't. No matter what people tell you. If they run a trap house, they don't call it a trap. They call it home. And no disrespect to people that live in a manufactured home or anything like that, because I've lived in those myself. But you know what? Most of the time, those places are out in the middle of nowhere and they're cooking dope. You know that cat piss smell that you drive by someplace and you smell like cat piss? I bet you don't know what's being cooked up in the holler, right? You know what I mean? It's like you try to get educated by looking up YouTube and Wikipedia. And one thing they teach you in college is Wikipedia is not a fact-based website. Because you know who add those stats? People. And they get updated daily. So how can you trust another person who is running the website adding specific details to it? Wikipedia is not a credible source of knowledge. It really isn't. So the next time you smell cat piss that isn't in your home or out by the barn or anything like that, and it's in a specific area of your neighborhood, you might look around and see exactly what's going on. Y'all all know what weed smells like, right? Or maybe you don't. Maybe you remember what you think it smelled like. You ever smelled somebody smoking some fent? But no, we can get on these YouTube streets and talk about stuff we know nothing about. Just because we believe that at one point in our lives we were relevant. And that's going to be the word for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Relevance. There's been studies done that most people are looking to be relevant more than they're looking to be anything else in life. Their life is so distorted and unhappy that the only relevance they get is by making up stories about a life they wish that they could have lived. Because relevance gets you success in your mind, it gets you entitlement, and it gets you a feeling of accomplishment. We all want relevance, right? But not all of us are going to be looking to be lying to people to get it. So I'm going to put this up right quick, and I'm going to probably end it with this. I'm going to start trying to end it on a positive note, because you know what, in reality, I want to take my channel in a different direction. You see what this says? It says great people talk about ideas. Small people talk about other people. So let that sink in a minute. Let that sink in a minute. I don't have to tell you what that means if you truly understand the deepest part of what this message is saying. Great people talk about ideas. Small people talk about other people. Think about that a minute. When you're watching YouTube tomorrow or tonight, listen to how many small people there are, if they indeed are talking about other people. Yeah, Turtle and Giraffe. That is a great story. But you know what? I'm not only a therapist by trade, I've been doing this for a long time. So most of the stuff that I talk about, I've either lived it, seen it, known people that have been a part of it, and I never make up stuff just to make you involved in my channel. Like I said at one point, and obviously I almost did a self-fulfilling prophecy, it looked like. I'm down to 5 people in my chat, which is pretty cool. Because I said I would be doing this with no people in the chat. It goes full circle sometimes, you know? Because you either talk about one thing on YouTube or people don't want to hear nothing else. And that's fine. I'm going to still keep getting on here and doing lives, because these 5 people that are in this chat right now are the 5 most important people on the planet for me. And everybody that showed up to watch me, they're important to me as well. And I'm going to keep showing up, because I know what success looks like. It gets darkest before the bright light happens. I've seen success. I've been told it's not going to happen. You can't do it here. It's been tried. And guess what? That didn't stop me. And you know what else? I proved each and every one of those naysayers wrong. You can't go by success by the number of people that are watching you. That's a fool's game. Because it's not about quantity, it's about quality. This is a huge statement. Let me move myself out of the way so I don't get involved in blocking what PKC has to say. She's one of the locals. I don't think I've ever heard of a trap house in the area. Some meth houses, manufacturing, no one knew they existed, and you hear a boom. That's 100%. And you know how many people, and this is another random fact for you. You move into an apartment, you go into a hotel room, you go into any kind of environment like that, even some of these newer houses where people have lived in there, you don't know what they've been smoking, especially if there's carpet on the floor. You go into a hotel room, I can almost guarantee that you can't get up all the residue of meth being smoked in there, cocaine, crack, heroin, you name it. There's all kinds of residue all over that room. The same thing in an apartment. If they've ever cooked meth in an apartment, you can't get that off the walls. You can't get that residue off the walls. You can't. I like that. Real men don't expect their wife to clean. Real men clean and help their wife. I like that. So the next time that you go to a hotel room or you go to rent an apartment, I suggest that you get the bleach out and you get some cleaning stuff that hopefully you can get that smoke off that wall, because the last thing you want is to be living in a place where you're inhaling all them toxins and fumes that are trapped up in that wall. Like PKC said, you don't know they exist until you hear a loud boom. And there's many kids that have been killed, small kids, crawling around these floors where all those fumes and all those chemicals and particles land. There's been kids that have been taken by CPS that have been tested, and they have methamphetamine in their system. Not because they actually did it, but because they inhaled the smoke of it being cooked. So there's a little bit of information for you. And like I said, I don't get on here and just talk random crap because I think I know it. Been playing this game for 24 years, not only as a professional, but even before then, I was a client. You know what I mean? So if that speaks for anything, I like that statement you just said, Chris. My landlord just painted over all the meth residue. Yeah, it's everywhere. Hell, most of the dollar bills, and I've seen experiments on this, so most of the dollar bills have cocaine residue on them. I don't really touch cash, so, it's not really that big of a deal for me, but, think about where them dollar bills have been. Rolled up, snorted in the crack of some stripper's butt, wherever. So if that doesn't make you want to use your debit card more, I don't know what will. But once again, my name is 12 Gauge, and this is an adult channel where we don't make up stuff, we don't speculate on stuff. We get right to the core of true crime and everything involved in it. And drug addiction is a big part of it. Just because these individuals were not instantly apprehended doesn't mean they weren't breaking the law. So we like to deep dive into stories like this. And if you're not busy during the day, try to catch out one of my shorts or some of the true crime on the run stuff that I've been creating lately. I hope you enjoy the content. If you do, you watch this on replay, hit the like, subscribe. And I know many people work. They can't be in all the lives and chats and stuff. I get plenty of, replay crew. I don't expect people to be here 24/7 just because I'm on. But you know what? I'll still show up as long as I got something to say. And I appreciate everybody who comes to the channel and gives me a chance. Y'all have a wonderful night, and the weekend's around the corner. And for most of us, it is a 3-day weekend. And like I say all the time, Maestro, why don't you cue that music?